In my previous life, I was a green tea bitch. By chance, I was reborn as the long-lost biological daughter of the Smith family. On the day I returned to the Smith family, the fake daughter jumped down from the second floor. My own brother looked at me with disgust. Why did you have to come back? If it weren't for you, Lily wouldn't have been so desperate. The family crowded around the fake heiress and went to the hospital. I looked up at the room with the windows still open and said to the nervous butler, "Uncle Butler, I'll take that room." The man and woman before me held my hands, tears streaming down their faces. "Susan Smith, Mom and Dad have finally found you, my poor daughter." I had actually been reborn as the long-lost daughter of the wealthy Smith family. They said there was a car accident on the way to pick me up, and we almost didn't get to see each other. Looking at the huge hospital room and the young face in the mirror, I laughed in my heart. In my previous life, I went through a lot of hardship just to marry into a wealthy family. I never expected that after a tragic death, I would wake up as the wealthy family itself. Truly, the wheel of fortune keeps turning. After my parents left, I looked into this Smith family. A top-tier wealthy family with a group market value of $8 billion, the family has a pure and upright reputation. With a harmonious couple who have raised one son and one daughter, their daughter was abducted at the age of 3, and they later adopted a foster daughter. It seems my original self was the real heiress who was once abducted, Susan Smith. I sifted through the memories of my original self. Perhaps because she was too young when she was abducted, she only had memories of the orphanage, and all of them were of being bullied. Poor young lady, finally found my parents, and then got into a car accident. Just saw that Smith's parents' hair has turned white. They must be missing their daughter in their hearts. Don't worry, I will take good care of your parents for you. My body is fine, and my parents are taking me home. I was just about to happily step into the large villa. Suddenly, I heard a scream and the sound of something heavy hitting the ground. Someone rushed out of the villa and dashed onto the lawn. My parents also ran over with tense expressions. I walked up to them with a confused look on my face. In my brother George Smith's arms lay a girl in pajamas. Judging by her size, she should be the Smiths' adopted daughter. Lily Smith, with a trace of blood at the corner of her mouth, said weakly, "She is your biological daughter. This family can have her or me, but not both." Mother was heartbroken. "What nonsense are you talking? You will always be our daughter." George Smith looked at me with disgust. "Why did you have to come back? If it weren't for you, Lily wouldn't have been so desperate." Father picked up Lily Smith in his arms. "Let's get to the hospital first." Through the gap, Lily Smith couldn't hide the triumph in her eyes. The people left in a noisy rush, and the large villa became quiet again. I looked up at the second-floor room with the window still open and said to the nervous butler, "Uncle Butler, I'll take that room." The butler was stunned. That's the young lady's room." I gave an innocent smile. "I know, but the second young lady is showing signs of suicidal tendencies. This room is too dangerous. Please move her to a room without windows or one with windows facing the hallway." "Don't worry, I'll explain it to Mom and Dad." The butler looked skeptical but still responded, "Yes, young mistress." Lily Smith's room was quickly cleared out. Lying on the pink dreamy princess bed, I chuckled foolishly. Lily Smith, you think you can force me to leave like this? I am not an innocent, pure little daisy. I am a dog's tail grass that has been run over by wheels time and again, yet still survives. In my past life, I was a green tea. Actually, before becoming a green tea, I also despised green tea, but later I realized that becoming a green tea and marrying into a wealthy family could save me a lot of detours in life. So, I spent years of savings on plastic surgery, breast augmentation, and enrolled in a socialite training class. Just as I was about to complete my training and return, I accidentally got into a car accident. Truly, good people don't live long. I should have saved that money for my younger siblings, but the money wasn't entirely wasted. What I learned in the socialite class seems to have come in handy at the Smith's house. The next day, my parents came back and found me. I actually ended up staying in Lily Smith's room. Dad gave me a disapproving look. "Lily is the daughter we raised from childhood. Even though you've come back, you can't replace her. How could you take her room?" Mom, however, was more gentle. "Old Smith, don't say that. Last night was an emergency, and we didn't have time to make arrangements." Susan Smith must not have known the situation. I knew the situation all too well. I pouted, and tears instantly streamed down my face. "Mom, Dad, it's all my fault. Yesterday, when my sister jumped from the second floor. It scared me so much. I knew you both would be extremely worried. I thought something like this must never happen again, so I moved into this dangerous room. I didn't know you would misunderstand. I'll move out right away. Mom quickly grabbed my hand. Look how scared the child is. Susan Smith was also thinking of Lily. It must have been a misunderstanding. Dad's expression softened. Dad misunderstood you, but you reminded me. Lily really can't stay in this room anymore. I looked over with tears in my eyes. Dad, if my sister doesn't want this room, can I have it? A flicker of pity crossed Dad's eyes, and he coughed dryly without saying a word. Mom seemed to have made up her mind. Susan Smith, Lily can't handle any more stress right now. Your dad, your brother, and I think it's best if you move out for a while. Once Lily has come to terms with this, we'll bring you back. Wait, Susan Smith is already 15. If she doesn't bond with her family now, she'll be an adult soon. I lowered my head, biting my lip, letting my tears fall drop by drop onto the floor. Being able to see my birth parents again in this lifetime is already the greatest blessing I could ask for. It's just that I, as a daughter, have been unfilial. Since I was young, I haven't been by my parents' side to take care of them. Fortunately, they adopted a sister, which filled the void I left when I was in the orphanage. I was also afraid of being bullied and once jumped from a building. I understand my sister's despair. I lifted my head, tears welling in my eyes, and looked at my parents who were frozen in place. I truly envy my sister, being loved and cared for by our parents. After despair comes hope, but back then, I had no hope at all. Ouch. I hurriedly wiped away my tears. Why am I saying all this? If my sister doesn't want me to stay here, I'll just move out. After saying that, I started packing my things, but what belongings did I even have? I just wanted my parents to see how sensible their biological daughter was, while that adopted daughter was forcing their own flesh and blood to leave. Sure enough, my mother let out a heart-wrenching cry and pulled me into her embrace. My poor Susan Smith. Come to think of it, we've been separated for over a decade. How could I ever let you leave again? My father seemed lost in thought. We've been so focused on Lily, but Susan Smith is our own flesh and blood. Susan Smith, you should stay. I'll explain everything to Lily. I nodded understandingly, officially moved into the large room on the second floor. To prevent Lily Smith from attempting suicide again, I suggested moving her to the small room on the first floor, the one with only a ventilation window. Mom frowned and asked, will Lily agree? I was massaging my mom's back. My sister is only a few months younger than me, so she should understand Mom and Dad's good intentions. If she really can't figure it out, I'll just switch with her. We can't let others say our family is mistreating an adopted daughter. Mom looked moved and patted my hand. I never expected Susan Smith to be so understanding. I hugged my mom affectionately from behind. That's all thanks to Mom and Dad's good genes. Mom seemed very satisfied with my answer and even kissed me on the cheek. I also gave Mom a kiss, the entire afternoon. Mom and I were affectionate like any ordinary mother and daughter. We have to thank Lily Smith for creating this opportunity for us to spend time alone together. By my calculations, George Smith should be back soon. I spent 2 hours early in the morning doing an innocent, natural-looking makeup. Then I put on the new dress I bought. Susan Smith was already good-looking to begin with, dressed up like this. She truly looked like a wealthy young lady, just as she finished tidying up. The door slammed open with a loud crash. George Smith appeared outside the door, his face filled with anger. What do you think you are, daring to stay in Lily's room? I pretended to be afraid, widening my deer-like, watery eyes as I looked over in terror. Brother, please don't be angry, I'm scared. George Smith's eyes widened instantly. Men, after all, we are all visual creatures. With Lily Smith setting such a high standard, how could George Smith spare a second glance for someone as plain as me? But what if my own biological sister is also a pearl? George Smith looked incredulous. Susan Smith, I nodded timidly. Brother, Mom and Dad were afraid that our sister might do something rash again, so they asked me to stay here. Did you come back to get clothes for our sister? I was worried you wouldn't know what girls need, so I packed everything in advance. As I spoke, I pushed the small suitcase over. George Smith scratched his head and averted his gaze. Thanks, I'll go change first. Watching George Smith flee in a fluster, I smiled slightly, lifted the hem of my skirt, and went downstairs to turn on the TV. George Smith was just about to leave with his suitcase when he noticed a soccer match playing on the TV. I was immediately surprised. You can understand soccer too, bro. Tea is also a type of green tea. To win someone's favor, you have to start with their interests. I smiled brightly. Last night's game, I was afraid of disturbing mom and dad. So I thought I'd watch the replay today. Brother, are you all packed? Hurry up and go keep your sister company. George Smith was captivated by the game and plopped down on the sofa next to him. Lily is fine for now. I'll finish watching the game first. The servant tactfully poured tea for the brother and cut some fruit for me. My brother and I were chatting while watching the game, and just as it was nearing the end, George Smith's phone rang. Brother, why aren't you here yet? I'm so bored all by myself. Lily Smith's coquettish voice came through the phone. George Smith replied absent-mindedly. Something came up. I'll be there soon. At that moment, our favorite team scored a goal. I shouted excitedly, Brother, we scored. George Smith also excitedly made a victory gesture. Lily Smith on the phone was furious. George Smith, are you with that bitch? If you don't come over right now, I'll kill myself. George Smith frowned and said, all right. I'll be right there. After hanging up the phone, George Smith took one last reluctant look at the game. I considerately comforted him. Brother, don't be angry with your sister. Most girls aren't interested in soccer. I see there's still half an hour left. You can watch it on your phone while in the car. Watching on a phone isn't as exciting as watching on TV. George Smith nodded apologetically and reluctantly dragged his suitcase away. Shortly after he left, the doorbell rang. Through the camera, I saw a handsome guy standing outside the door. Look at those expensive clothes. He must be a rich second-generation heir. I smoothed my hair, opened the door, and flashed a sweet smile. Who are you looking for? The handsome guy was cold, but the tips of his ears inexplicably turned red. I'm looking for George Smith. I blinked my eyes, looking for my brother. He went to the hospital. The handsome guy seemed thoughtful. You must be George Smith's younger sister. Susan Smith. I nodded obediently. The handsome guy gave a faint smile. Tell your brother that Lucas came to see him, I said pitifully. Sorry, I don't have my brother's phone number. Lucas sighed softly. It's okay, I'll contact him. Before leaving, Lucas asked me, are you also in the first year of high school at XH? I've heard of XH High School. It is the best high school in City A. Then I must go. I will go. I inquired around discreetly. My parents have already helped me with the transfer procedures. It is indeed XH High School. The day before school started, Lily Smith was about to be discharged from the hospital. Right at mealtime, George Smith went to pick her up. I was waiting for them at the dinner table with my parents. These days, my relationship with my parents has been rapidly improving. During meals, I always sit next to my mom. Today, I deliberately left a seat between my mom and me. Mom was puzzled. Susan Smith. Why aren't you sitting next to Mom? I replied gently. I'm saving it for my sister, otherwise she'll get upset again. Dad frowned. Lily is spoiled by you. At such a young age, she has such a bad temper and no tolerance for others. Mom's face flushed with anger. What do you mean I spoiled her? Didn't you spoil her too? Susan Smith, don't be afraid. Sit next to your mother. You are our biological daughter, and she has no choice but to accept it. I chuckled to myself. It seems all those days of instilling the idea of blood ties weren't in vain. On the surface, I still acted timidly. Forget it, let's not provoke my sister. After all, she's been the young lady for so many years. Mom was unhappy. If you don't sit over here soon, Mom is going to get angry. I sprang up and slowly shuffled over, leaning affectionately on Mom's shoulder, whining, Mom, I was wrong. Please don't be angry. Just then, Lily Smith pushed the door open. Seeing me acting coquettishly with Mom, Lily Smith widened her eyes. Mom, what are you doing? Why is she still here? Didn't you promise me you would kick her out? I pretended to be scared and instinctively started to stand up. Mom held me back and looked at Lily Smith. Lily, Susan Smith is your sister, so of course she will live at home. You need to respect her from now on. Lily Smith's face flushed with anger. I said it's either her or me. Are you trying to drive me to my death? Slap. Her father slammed the table in fury. You keep talking about death all day. How have your parents taught you? You have no manners at all. Lily Smith visibly trembled, biting her lower lip tightly, her downcast eyes darting restlessly. At that moment, George Smith walked in. I opened my innocent big eyes and looked over pitifully. George Smith patted Lily Smith's shoulder. All right, don't be upset. Susan Smith is quite a nice person. You'll like her once you spend some time with her. Seeing that the family had accepted me, Lily Smith changed her strategy. Her eyes instantly reddened. Brother, even you are taking her side. Yes, she is your flesh and blood. While I am just an outsider, alright, when tough tactics don't work, they switch to soft ones. Mom, as expected, felt sorry for her and stood up, taking her hand. What do you mean by an outsider? Your dad and I have long considered you our own daughter. You and your sister are both our daughters. Dad's expression softened. Susan Smith is a sensible child and will be a good sister. Tame your spoiled temper. Let's start dinner. George Smith pulled Lily Smith to sit on the other side of the dining table. Today's meal is Western cuisine. Lily Smith skillfully picked up the knife and fork, raising an eyebrow at me, as if to say, can you even use these? Country bumpkin, of course I can use them. I learned to perfection in the socialite class, but I am a qualified green tea. This is not the time to show off. Everyone started using their knives and forks, while I kept my head down, fidgeting with my hands and saying nothing. George Smith sat across from me and was the first to notice something unusual. What's wrong? Don't you know how to use a knife and fork? I glanced at him timidly and obediently nodded. George Smith looked at me with understanding. I've already cut mine up. You can have this. My parents smiled with relief. Lily Smith angrily cut her steak with a grating sound. After the meal, Lily Smith threw another tantrum over the room situation. Dad went straight back to the company. Mom pleaded earnestly. Your sister only wants what's best for you. George Smith also tried to persuade her for a long time. In the end, Lily Smith still moved into the small room on the first floor, looking at her expression of wanting to cry but having no tears. I didn't feel the slightest bit sorry for her. She had always occupied the position of the young lady that rightfully belonged to Susan Smith. For so many years, she had enjoyed the love that should have been Susan Smith's. She should make amends for this poor girl, instead of targeting her with life and death hostility. School bullying, though delayed, has finally arrived. Lily Smith and a group of girls pinned me down in the restroom. She slapped me across the face. Don't think that just because you fooled Mom and Dad, you're the Smith family's young lady. Our circle isn't for trash like you to squeeze into. A curly-haired girl nearby filled a basin with water. Oh, still wearing that scheming makeup. Let me see your real face. It was already November, and the weather was starting to get cold. When the water splashed over me, I couldn't help but shiver. In my previous life, I had no family, no support, and younger siblings to take care of. When I faced school bullying, I had no choice but to endure it. Even on the day of the college entrance exam, they tied me to a tree for a full day and night, forcing me to watch helplessly as I missed the exam. But when I saw the large compensation, I still chose to forgive. But now it's different. I'm a child with a family. I looked up and stared at Lily Smith, letting out a cold laugh. Aren't you afraid I'll tell Mom and Dad? Lily Smith crossed her arms, looking smug. Go ahead and sue. You have no evidence. What are you going to sue with? Just then, the curly-haired girl pulled a phone out of my pocket. Oh, you really were recording. Such a cheap trick. As she spoke, she used my face to unlock the phone and deleted the recording from earlier. Lily Smith kicked me in the stomach. I'm warning you, get out of this house as soon as possible, or I'll beat you up every time I see you. Gasping for breath, I still managed to force a smile and looked around. A bunch of fools. Really think Lily Smith can protect you? What did you say, bitch, you slut? Still daring to curse. Watch me kick you to death. The girls swarmed in, punching and kicking me. Lily Smith took a step back, looking at her handiwork with satisfaction. Be careful with the force. Don't leave too many visible injuries on the surface. I silently counted in my heart. Before coming to the restroom, I sent a text to George Smith. From the senior high school building to this area, the timing should be just about right. When I counted to 30, George Smith's voice rang out. Susan Smith, where are you? The girls instantly stopped and began whispering among themselves. Lily, why is young Master Smith here? Didn't you say your brother doesn't accept this sister? Young Master Smith sounds really anxious. Lily Smith's face suddenly changed color. Looking anxiously outside, I spat out the blood in my mouth and shouted, Brother, I'm here. The girls quickly covered my mouth, but it was too late. Footsteps were getting closer and closer. Lily Smith turned sideways and hid inside a toilet stall. Susan Smith, You actually, George Smith rushed in. Kicking the assailants one by one, the girls screamed and scattered in all directions. My legs went weak, and I fell into a warm embrace. Brother Lucas, how is it? Cough cough. Lucas frowned and said, don't talk, I'll take you to the hospital. As I left the restroom, I caught a glimpse out of the corner of my eye. George Smith paused for a moment outside the stall where Lily Smith was hiding. Eventually, he turned and followed me, because I had been beaten and doused with cold water. I was lying in a daze for several days. My dreams were all about things that happened in my previous life. When I woke up, Lucas was actually sitting beside me. He was leaning back on the sofa with his eyes closed, his long legs stretched straight under the coffee table. The sunlight streamed in, making his handsome face seem to glow, just as I was lost in admiration. He opened his eyes. You're awake. I flustered and averted my gaze. Ahem, where's my brother? Lucas picked up the water and handed it over. He went to the school to negotiate with the families of the bullies. I took a sip of water. Were they all caught? Lucas chuckled. Are you asking if Lily Smith was among them? I stared at the water glass without saying a word. Lucas continued, your brother didn't see Lily Smith at the scene. But I have a surveillance video that proves Lily Smith was also involved. I frowned as Lucas tossed a USB drive over to me. What am I supposed to do with this? Give it to George Smith. Give it to my parents. Give it to the police. Perhaps my expression was too strange. Lucas curled his lips. Whether to hand over this video is up to you to decide. Decide my foot. If I hand it over, wouldn't that be slapping the Smith family in the face? But this matter needs to be known by the family, otherwise this beating would have been for nothing. I wonder if Susan Smith has woken up. How could you let Lucas watch over her here? It's Mom's voice. Footsteps were getting closer. I grabbed the USB drive and threw it toward the hospital room door. What evidence? My sister wasn't involved at all. The USB drive landed right at my parents' feet. George Smith frowned and picked it up. What is this? I covered my face with both hands, tears streaming down uncontrollably. I don't know. I don't know anything. Secretary Lee, Dad called out, and the secretary took out the laptop. Lily Smith's voice rang out. A lowlife from an orphanage still wants to be the young lady of the Smith family. What does it mean to be biological? Do you know that upbringing matters more than blood? Later, give her a good beating so she won't act so cocky at home anymore. Idiot. Dad slammed the laptop shut with a loud thud. Mom hugged me tightly, her heart aching. This child is so malicious. We need to teach them a proper lesson this time. George Smith pinched the bridge of his nose and looked apologetically at Lucas. Lucas shrugged. This is your family matter. I won't get involved, and I won't say anything about it. Thanks, buddy. Lucas gave me a half smile as he left. It made me feel the shame of having my act seen through. I dropped the pretense and glared back at him without hesitation. Back at school again. The bullies were nowhere to be seen. I heard they were all expelled from school. Lily Smith was slapped by her father at home. She tearfully apologized to me and promised not to do it again. After all, she is the daughter we raised for over a decade. Seeing Lily Smith's sincere attitude, the family hopes we can reconcile, for the sake of the Smith family's reputation, and keep Lily Smith's secret of participating in bullying, as an understanding older sister. Of course, I chose to forgive. At school, Lily Smith avoided me, but encouraged the classmates to isolate me. Everywhere I went, the classmates would leave in a flurry. I didn't really mind. Anyway, going to school is for studying, not for making friends. However, Lucas from the senior year would occasionally come to see me. Lucas is the school's famous heartthrob and academic genius. He is the Prince Charming in the girls' hearts. Now the girls not only isolated me, but also became hostile towards me, just after evening self-study. Lucas was waiting for me at the classroom door. The girls in the class quickly gathered together and whispered among themselves. I picked up my backpack and walked away with my head down. Lucas quickly followed. Hey, you're riding in my car again today. My house and Lucas's house are very close. I frowned. Where's my brother? Lucas laughed. Your brother is worried you and Lily Smith will start fighting again. So he asked me to give you a ride home from now on. I'm fine. I can take a taxi myself. Ever since Lucas saw through my acting last time, I can no longer act coy in front of him. But he doesn't seem to mind. Instead, he always comes closer. Although he is also a rich second generation, I always feel an unreal sense of getting something for nothing. I picked up my phone and opened the ride-hailing app. Wow, this is so expensive. even though it's not far. The price is 3 times more expensive than in the city. Lucas walked ahead with his hands in his pockets. Our neighborhood is a villa area, so of course the prices are high. My car is free. Are you coming or not? Go. I lowered my head and followed. To be honest, my parents never shortchanged me financially. I just want to save some money so I can help my siblings from my previous life during the winter break. The car stopped, and George Smith and Lily Smith had just arrived at the door. Watching Lucas help me by opening the car door and shielding my head, Lily Smith glared at me with jealousy. I put on a well-behaved smile and said, "Thank you, Lucas." Lucas smiled and ruffled my hair vigorously. It wasn't until I bared my teeth threateningly that he finally took his hand away. I then walked up to George Smith and smiled innocently. "Brother, there's a problem I don't understand. Can you teach me?" George Smith nodded gently. Lily Smith gritted her teeth until they creaked. "Susan Smith, isn't it tiring to pretend all day?" I looked at her innocently again. George Smith quickly took my backpack. "Come on, let's go do some problems." This time, I really wasn't pretending, although my academic performance was decent in my previous life. But after all, I had been out of school for 10 years by the time I died. I've almost forgotten even middle school knowledge, let alone high school. After a whole night, George Smith silently closed the book. "Susan Smith, your brother is about to take the college entrance exam. You should hire a tutor." I reluctantly nodded, but in my heart, I was hoping a male college student might come. The next day, Lucas followed me into the house. "Starting today, I'm your tutor." I rubbed my forehead and smiled wryly. "Aren't you also about to take the college entrance exam?" Lucas proudly blew the stray hair off his forehead. I got a guaranteed admission. An hour later, Lucas picked up the phone. "Steward, help me find my junior high school textbooks." Every night after studying, I questioned my life. Why not just be reborn into an adult's body? Studying is really too painful. I actually have to go through the same pain twice. Fortunately, through my relentless efforts, during the final exams, I didn't come in last place. Being in the middle of the class is already quite good. Lily Smith, on the other hand, ranked at the top, making her parents proud. Her mother happily asked her what reward she wanted. She said she wanted to travel abroad. Mom said again, "Take Susan Smith with you." Both sisters go together. Lily Smith looked displeased. I quickly waved my hand. No, I've never been abroad before. It would just be a bother for my sister. I want to go back to the orphanage to visit the director and the others. Lily Smith raised an eyebrow. "See, it's not that I don't want to bring him. He just won't come with me." Her mother sighed helplessly. "If you can't get together, then so be it. George Smith still has an exam to take. You two should just go with the maid." No need. I exchanged a glance with Lily Smith, then quickly looked away. I was puzzled in my heart. I didn't bring a servant because I planned to go to the orphanage afterward. I also wanted to visit my younger brother and sister in another city. She, a young lady, actually didn't bring any servants, which was quite strange. I didn't have time to think too much about it. After finalizing the itinerary, I packed my bag and left. Back then, the original owner was sold to an ordinary family. After that couple had a son, they threw away the daughter they had bought. She was found and sent to an orphanage. That is why the original owner had an extremely low self-esteem. She was always trying to please others. In the orphanage, she became the target of everyone's bullying. Fortunately, the director protected her, becoming the only light in her short life. I donated a lot of things on behalf of the original owner. I also gave the director a big red envelope to thank her for her care back then. The director was very touched and wanted me to stay for a few more days. I declined. Mom asked us to return before the new year. I still have to go to another place. Just walked out of the orphanage. I saw Lucas standing by the roadside with a smile. "How come you came out so soon? Didn't you tell Aunt Smith you wanted to stay a few more days?" I averted my gaze. "I'm going out for a bit. I'll be back soon." Lucas narrowed his eyes. "Soon, but I saw you booked a flight to Sea City tonight, and another one abroad 3 days from now." I couldn't believe it. "You investigated me." Lucas stared intently. "Susan Smith, from the moment I first met you, I felt that beneath your innocent appearance, there was another side to you." At the Smith's house, suppress Lily Smith and use George Smith's influence to deal with the school bullying group. It feels like much of the knowledge in my studies is just being recalled, and your way of doing things doesn't seem timid or insecure like the orphanage described. What secrets are you hiding? Having my thoughts guessed so unexpectedly, my heart raced wildly. None of your business. I clutched the strap of my bag tightly, keeping my head down as I walked quickly forward. Lucas still followed me onto the plane. However, I wasn't as scared anymore. No matter what, I was now Susan Smith, and I always feel that Lucas means no harm. He's just curious about my little thoughts. I really am quite scheming. If I weren't, I wouldn't have survived in my previous life. At 10 years old, my mother passed away from illness. In order to find a stepmother, my father sold me to human traffickers. Because I was already older, no one was willing to buy me. I watched as Helen began to assess my organs. I became diligent. Not only did I take the initiative to work, learning to steal and beg, but I also helped take care of the children who had been trafficked. Helen was very satisfied with me and kept me around, until the human traffickers' den was raided by the police. I was just rescued. Among the abducted children, those with parents returned home. In the end, only me, a younger brother, and a younger sister were left. The younger sister was also sold. And my brother has a rare disease and needs to take medicine every day, so he was abandoned. The three of us entered an orphanage and went to school with the help of the state. After missing the college entrance exam, the director said they really couldn't afford my brother's medicine anymore, so I took my brother and sister out to make a living. I've done all kinds of jobs, even if I got beaten up. As long as I got paid, it was fine. Later, I heard from the girls I worked with that getting plastic surgery, breast implants, and enrolling in a socialite class to snag a rich man would secure the rest of my life. It's a pity my younger siblings never got to have a rich brother-in-law. Only a mangled corpse was returned. I wonder if they removed those 2 lumps of silicone during the cremation. Finally, we meet. I never expected my brother's legs to be paralyzed. My sister looks 10 years older than her actual age. I dried my tears. I sent over the 500,000 yuan I had saved over the past 6 months. I just said it was a donation from an online friend. My sister was moved and hugged my brother, crying, "Now we have money to buy medicine." I pretended to be live streaming and stayed at home for 2 days. I hurriedly left when they started to get suspicious. Lucas looked at me with a strange expression. "You're being so stingy for them." I nodded. They were the people I met when I was trafficked. They were very kind to me back then. A flicker of heartache passed through Lucas's eyes, and he silently followed behind. I secretly curled the corners of my mouth. Young Master Lu's abilities must be far superior to mine. Perhaps he can even help cure his younger brother's illness. I stealthily hid behind a tree, secretly observing. Lucas complained, "Susan Smith, don't tell me you came abroad just to follow Lily Smith." I pulled my mask up a bit higher. "Stop talking, or you'll give us away. If you're bored, just go back to the hotel." Lucas didn't move and continued fanning me with the fan. "It's so hot here. We've been following her for 3 days, and all Lily Smith does is sunbathe and swim at the beach. Nothing unusual." I muttered, "No, there must be something strange going on." From the first time I met Lily Smith, I felt as if I had seen her somewhere before. That strange sense of familiarity from the depths of the soul was very peculiar, this time going abroad. She didn't bring a single servant, still wandering around in this area. It doesn't seem like a vacation, more like waiting for someone. Just as I was thinking, a woman in a bikini with big wavy hair walked over to Lily Smith. The two hugged affectionately as soon as they met. The woman took off her sunglasses, revealing a very young face. After clearly seeing the woman's face, my mind felt as if it had been struck. Memories surged like a tide, and I froze in place. Lucas also noticed something unusual. That woman looked so much like Lily Smith, almost like mother and daughter. I stared blankly. I've seen her before. To be precise, both Susan Smith and I have seen her. I remember now. This woman once sold a little girl to Helen. The little girl was only 3 years old, had a fever, and kept crying for her mother. Helen found the little girl annoying, so she threw her to me. I took care of her day and night, wiping her body and feeding her medicine. Once she recovered, she was sold. Now that I think about it, that little girl was Susan Smith. My heart was pounding. It turns out Susan Smith and I had met so early on. Back at the hotel, I pulled Lucas aside and asked, "Do you remember how the Smith family found Lily Smith?" Lucas recalled, "According to George Smith, not long after you went missing, a girl about your age appeared at their doorstep. Your aunt and uncle felt it was fate, so they adopted Lily Smith." I looked at the ground. the woman who just met with Lily Smith is the same trafficker who abducted me back then. Lucas widened his eyes. You mean, you're not mistaken? I looked up at Lucas. Can you do me a favor? After returning from abroad, Lily Smith's temperament changed drastically. She no longer throws tantrums like a spoiled young lady and has become very well behaved. She even sweetly calls me sister when she sees me. Mom, Dad, and George Smith are very pleased and keep praising her for being sensible. If I hadn't discovered her secret, I might have thought she had truly changed. After the spring festival, Lily Smith suggested changing rooms. My parents agreed. I thought she would want the princess room on the second floor back. Unexpectedly, she said. No need to trouble my sister to move back and forth. I'll just take the empty room between my brother and sister. Watching her act coquettishly and pester George Smith to help her move things, I instantly understood her intention. If she can't be a daughter, she'll be a daughter-in-law. I tried to remind my mom, Lily is, after all, an adopted daughter. Wouldn't it be inappropriate for her to live next to my brother? Mom, however, dismissed my concerns, saying, don't overthink it. They grew up together like real siblings. After school started, Dad also secured a recommendation spot for George Smith. George Smith's academic pressure instantly lessened. Lily Smith started pestering George Smith to tutor her. Watching her wear less and less clothing, I urgently urged Lucas from abroad to speed up the process. Lucas called me on video and gave me a scolding. I gently comforted him and promised to repay him in the future. Lucas finally had a good expression. Hold on for another half a month. I'll hold on. After school, Lily Smith changed into her nightgown and entered George Smith's room again. While she was closing the door, I squeezed in, brother, Lucas hasn't been around lately, so why don't you tutor me as well? Lily Smith's face changed. Sis, our learning progress is different. Wait for Lucas. I frowned, lowered my head, and sobbed. It's all my fault for being too stupid. Not as smart as my sister. It must be tiring for you to teach me. George Smith handed over a tissue. What do you mean, stupid or not? The material from the past 2 days isn't difficult. You can listen along too. Okay, thank you, brother. I quickly brought a chair and placed it between the two of them. Lily Smith scowled. If you sit in the middle, how am I supposed to listen? I said innocently. Sorry, little sister, you sit in the middle. George Smith looked helpless and said, both of you, sit across from us. Got it. I quickly moved both of our chairs to the opposite side. Lily Smith was indeed better at studying than I was. Sometimes, the problems they discussed left me completely confused. George Smith had no choice but to explain it several more times. To avoid being kicked out, I had no choice but to video call Lucas late at night for some extra tutoring. Half a month had passed, and I was dark under the eyes and mentally scattered. After receiving Lucas's call, I still managed to pull myself together. National Day. As usual, our whole family accompanied Grandma for a meal at the restaurant. Grandma is getting older and usually stays at the old house, practicing Buddhism and not receiving visitors. She only comes out to meet everyone during holidays. As for finding me, Grandma has always believed it to be the Smith family's good fortune, so he dotes on me especially. Every time we eat, he insists I sit next to him. We were in the middle of our meal when the door to the private room suddenly swung open. Honey, I'm here. A well-dressed middle-aged woman walked in. Upon seeing our family, the woman panicked, apologized for coming to the wrong place, and turned to leave. But I widened my eyes in terror and shrank into my grandmother's arms. Grandma, this is the human trafficker from back then. George Smith swiftly closed the door. Grandma's cloudy eyes shot out 2 sharp gleams. Was it you who abducted my grandson back then? My daughter forced herself to stay calm. What nonsense are you talking about? If you don't let me leave, I'll call the police. Mom looked at me. Susan Smith. Are you sure it's her? I nodded seriously. It must be her. I would never forget her face, even in death. I remember she had a red mole on her wrist and a heart-shaped birthmark on her back. George Smith noticed keenly. She really does have a red mole on her wrist, Mom shouted. Lily, quickly check if she has a birthmark on her back. Lily Smith, her face pale, stood up as called but couldn't move her feet. Her mother grew anxious. Lily, what are you dawdling for? Let me see. The woman stepped back. Don't touch me. Don't listen to her nonsense. What can a 3-year-old child remember? Her father sprang to his feet. We never said Susan Smith was 3 when she was kidnapped. You really are a child trafficker. Grandma was so angry her hands trembled. Quick. Grab her. Don't let her run away." Mom rushed forward and tightly grabbed the woman's arm, shouting for Lily Smith to help hold her down. But Lily Smith panicked and bumped into George Smith instead. George Smith was shoved aside, looking at Lily Smith in disbelief. The woman seized the opportunity to rush out, but was surrounded by the butler and security guards. "We've already called the police. Let's wait until they arrive to discuss this." The woman began throwing a tantrum and rolling on the ground in an attempt to escape. However, the onlookers, upon hearing that this person might be a human trafficker, "There's no way I'm letting her leave." Grandma kept holding on to me, while Mom secretly wiped away her tears. George Smith looked suspiciously at the nervous Lily Smith. The police arrived quickly. We were taken to give our statements. The case was quickly investigated and clarified. The woman, named Kathy, was indeed the human trafficker who had abducted me back then. Kathy's past was also brought to light. She dropped out of high school at 18 because she had a child. That child's whereabouts are still unknown. Learned about Kathy's past. Mom and Dad scolded Kathy for being vicious and heartless. George Smith, however, stared at Lily Smith with a gloomy expression. "It seems I don't need to remind you." The day before school reopened, George Smith returned with a document, his face dark. The paternity test report for Kathy and Lily Smith. Mom wiped her tears. "It must be that Kathy's doing." Lily was only 3 at the time and didn't know anything. Dad took a deep breath. "Lily, tell the truth. Did you know about this?" Lily Smith shook her head frantically. I don't know anything." "Mom, Dad, I'm the daughter you raised." George Smith smiled bitterly. "If you didn't know, why did you push me away at the restaurant that day to help that woman escape? If it weren't for your strange behavior, would I have doubted you?" Lily Smith grabbed George Smith's arm. "No, brother, I was trying to help you that day. I just accidentally made things worse." George Smith shook off her arm. "I can tell the difference between intentional and accidental." I muttered loudly. "Lily travels to Country A every year, and it seems Kathy has settled in Country A too." Dad shouted angrily. "What more do you have to say? Our Smith family has been played for fools by you and your mother. Our own daughter has been suffering outside, while we've been raising the daughter of our enemy, and she's nothing but an ungrateful wretch." Mom suddenly realized. "You knew all along but didn't tell us. You let my daughter suffer. How could you do this to us?" Lily Smith fell to her knees with a thud. "Mom, Dad, brother, I was wrong. Please, for the sake of our years of affection, spare me." Dad sighed. "From today on, the Smith family has only one daughter, and that is Susan Smith." After saying this, Dad's body swayed. Mom quickly stepped forward to support her. The two of them helped each other back to the room. After all, they had loved their daughter for over a decade, and the emotional wounds in their parents' hearts were undeniably deep. George Smith watched his parents' retreating figures with a pained heart, then turned his gaze to Lily Smith. "Get out. Never show up at the Smiths again." Lily Smith collapsed on the floor, as if her soul had been drained. But I picked up the phone. "Hello, is this 110? There's a fraudster in our house." Kathy and Lily Smith's act of deception has already constituted fraud. The Smith family has spent a massive amount of money on Lily Smith over the years. Lily Smith was quickly taken away, and she had just turned 16 2 days ago. She can be held criminally responsible. He will probably be sentenced to 5 or 6 years. By then, she and the Smith family would have no connection whatsoever. Lucas, who had been missing for a month, finally appeared. Poor guy, he sacrificed quite a bit of his charm to trick Kathy into returning to the country. I cautiously asked him, "You didn't sell your body, did you?" Lucas rolled his eyes. "If I had let her succeed, how could I have tricked her into coming back?" I secretly breathed a sigh of relief, glad that the favor I owed wasn't too big. Lucas raised an eyebrow. "Do you still remember you promised me one thing?" I said solemnly. "Of course I remember. Tell me." Lucas chuckled lightly. "Then, Miss Smith, you better work hard and get into the same university as me." I widened my eyes. "Are you crazy? You're going to Peking University. Can I even get in?" Lucas put away his smile. "A promise is a promise." I gave a weary smile. "Oh, got it." I studied diligently for 3 years. In the end, I still didn't get into Peking University. On the day we checked the results, we were out camping. "I'm sorry." Looking at Lucas, "I'm sorry, I broke my promise." Lucas smiled gently. "Then let's change it to something else. Will you be my girlfriend?" George Smith said with a teasing expression. "If you're going to say that, then you should call me brother." Lucas sneered. Let's each go by our own rules, watching the two of them bicker. I couldn't help but look up at the sky. Suddenly, I remembered that little girl with a snot bubble hanging from her nose, Susan Smith. Thank you, you gave me a stolen happiness. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My mom is a famous internet celebrity. From the day I was born, she started an account to share every little detail about me. My college roommate looked at me with envy. Your mom really loves you, so you must have a lot of wonderful childhood memories. How much do influencers make in a month? My mom now has 5 million followers and earns hundreds of thousands for each advertisement she takes on every month. After I showed them the amount, they became even more envious. Then they looked at me with suspicious eyes. How can you be so poor that you go to the cafeteria begging for food every day and only wear school uniforms? I swallowed a bite of steamed bun, because my mom's budget only allows $300 a month for raising a child. Just as I finished the bun, my mom called. Seeing the dormitory background, she frowned. Why aren't you at the library at this hour? I rolled my eyes behind her back. So weird. The library closed hours ago. Then hurry up and clock in to memorize your vocabulary, or you'll lose $10 tomorrow. I thought that after I went to college, my mom's raising a child on 300 yuan videos would finally come to an end, but unexpectedly, one of her videos went viral. Title, Is 300 yuan a month enough for a daughter in college? The video exploded in popularity, apart from a few eccentric mothers and neurotic men in the comment section. The majority of the comments were harshly criticizing my mother. However, those words didn't hurt her in the slightest. Instead, she found inspiration in one of the sarcastic comments. Check in to earn a monthly living allowance of 300 yuan, from appearing on the track at 4 a.m., to run and check in, to studying under a streetlight at 3 a.m., to check in. My mom's god-tier moves always manage to piss off netizens effortlessly. If you start like this, what about Futu? It's fine. My grandparents stopped acknowledging her a long time ago. Even worse than the cow at poor woman's house. I second the motion. After all, even cows have personal attendants to take care of them. Having their daughter kidnapped could be considered a stroke of fate-changing luck. Born into such a family, I write 31 suicide notes a month. The daughter mistook the cafeteria's slop bucket for a Michelin-starred restaurant. My mom has been completely trashed online. Out of her 5 million followers, 99 million are haters, and the remaining 10,000 are zombie followers she bought when she first started her account. But my mom is quite pleased. In fact, my mom has been following the path of gaining fame through controversy all these years. From the moment I was born, while she was still in the hospital, she started building her online presence. She budgeted 300 a month to cover my diapers and formula. Diapers were changed once a day, and $50 bought 30 off-brand ones. Occasionally, when I found a pack for 30 a day, I'd make the most of it. Formula cost 250 a month. 1 scoop of milk powder mixed with 2 liters of water. Even counterfeit liquor would want to hire my mom as their RD director. I managed to survive until I was old enough to eat porridge, all thanks to my tough fate. But as my mom's videos became repetitive, the online critics eventually ran out of steam. Her view count plummeted sharply, unless it's a major event. For example, when National Day and Mid-Autumn Festival coincide, leading to a 2-week holiday adjustment. For instance, during the Spring Festival travel rush for tickets, or when a certain thieving country comes to steal again, only then will people take the time to criticize her. The rest of the time, it's completely deserted. My mother couldn't sit still any longer. She urgently needed innovation, until one day, she came across a video titled, "Successful Women Teach You How to Be Independent." So, as soon as I turned 2.5, she began teaching me independence. A new title emerged, How to Raise an Independent and Self-Loving Daughter on 300 yuan a month. That day, a wave of national essence swept over. My mother was quite satisfied, but I was very resistant to independence, at least at 2 years old. I really didn't know how to use a comb to tie my hair. Then, the next day's account content became, "My daughter is 2 years old and still can't tie her own hair. She's lazy and gluttonous, with no redeeming qualities at all. No one will want to marry her in the future." She has once again earned a wave of furious criticism. My mom's internet savvy is impressive. She has accumulated 5 million anti-fans. She totally deserves to make money. because I didn't memorize vocabulary at 3 and wake up for a run at 4, I lost a whopping $10. So, while working as a cafeteria lady, I started a live stream to earn some humble income, as my mother's daughter. I hold a significant place in the live streaming world. I applied for work study at school and received invitations from all directions: live streaming school admissions, live streaming open classes, live streaming cafeteria meal service. Leaders from various departments of the school are enthusiastic about inviting me to work study, because I kept live streaming to earn petty cash. I actually boosted the school's reputation quite a bit. Mom suddenly sent a video call request. Seeing my cafeteria lady outfit, she screamed, "Cindy, why aren't you at the library checking in at this hour?" I reflexively flinched, and with a shake of my hand, the top piece of braised pork flew off. The athlete across from me instantly turned red-eyed. I immediately made it up to him with a heaping spoonful. Seeing that I was ignoring her, my mom raised her voice. "Cindy, what on earth are you wearing? I always said I shouldn't give you too much money, when girls have too much money. They start picking up bad habits. You've even gotten into uniforms." My mom, quite knowledgeable, just not very intelligent. I deliberately provoked her sarcastically. "Well, it's because I'm broke. $300 a month. What am I supposed to eat? I can't even afford that stewed brand bird's nest you're holding. Clean ingredients, soft and chewy texture, with a natural egg white fragrance." Oh no. I got used to her live streaming and accidentally recited the ad copy. Mom snorted coldly, took a small taste of the bird's nest with a delicate silver spoon, and habitually frowned. "Isn't $300 a month enough? Didn't I also give you a few cans of yellow peach? Isn't that enough for you? 3 cans of yellow peach," and she could talk about them for a lifetime as if they were 300 cans. Speaking of yellow peach cans, she landed her first ever advertisement back then. All thanks to me, back then. Netizens in the comments section always accused her of maliciously building her account. They also mocked her for being unworthy of being a mother, and some even posted videos of their own children learning to swim in the comments, thoughtfully noting the price of 300 yuan per session. Well, that could feed me for a month. My mom didn't want to be outdone. She also wanted to prove that she was a good mother who nurtured her child's all-around development. So, as soon as I could walk, she threw me into the river. In the cold winter months, she said it was to teach me winter swimming and to build my strong physique. Fortunately, the viewers in the live stream called the police. I didn't drown, but as expected, I ended up with a fever. But I've already spent $300 this month. My mom strictly enforces the no unnecessary spending policy, no buying medicine, no going to the hospital. She just handed me an expired can of yellow peaches. I was burning up with fever, clutching the cold can and shoveling the peaches into my mouth. The next day, the video went viral. Everyone started missing canned yellow peaches. She landed her first ever advertisement. My mom is a smart woman, so I started having frequent fevers. Major food sponsors were all over me. Even when it came to surströmming or black garlic, I could hold my own. During that time, netizens also questioned why I was always running a fever. My mom replied uniformly, "Nutritional surplus." During this period, the live streaming earnings have been quite good, and by my calculations, I'm practically a wealthy woman with 500 yuan. However, with fame comes trouble. The more money you have, the more people will covet it. My private messages started to have some weirdos. "If I had an extra cup of MX Ice City, would you come with me?" Usually, I just treat this kind of person as harmful gas and flush them away. But I couldn't stop him from materializing at my food service window. He handed a cup of milk tea to me. "You don't have to be touched. Actually, this is what I should do. I know you've had a hard life. I will treat you well from now on, but drinking milk tea every day is too extravagant. I will consider it appropriately and let you have it once a month. If you get pregnant, you can have it once a week. If you give birth to a boy, I'll reward you with 2 cups of lemon water." The cafeteria security guard dragged him away. His legs kept kicking in the air, and he shouted at me, "Let me go. Didn't you say 1 cup of milk tea could win you over?" Later, I found out that this person was a hardcore shut-in, and the internet celebrity blogger he recently became obsessed with is my mom. The words he said before being dragged away were also from the comments section of my mom's very first video. Everyone concluded that a girl raised like me is starved for love and can't resist even the slightest temptation. A meal of fried chicken, a cup of milk tea, and ice cream, both can move me deeply, making me entrust my life. So naive. What I lack is money, not common sense. Those who have endured poverty are never obsessed with petty favors. I only care about whether I can eat my fill and whether I can lift myself up to soar higher. But just as I was taking off, my mother clipped my wings. The reason is that with the winter break approaching, I don't want to go home. It's all because my mom has already announced my winter break plans in her live stream. My life is harder than the cow at poor woman's house. Besides, I can now do my own live streams, and I can also find a job near the school. New Year's Eve pays triple, so she used the power of capital, spent money to hire thousands of people, and reported my account. I was forced to have my account suspended for a month. I confronted her about it. In the video, my mom twisted her mouth and raised her eyebrows at a slant. Cindy, do you really think going to college makes you capable? Hurry home and shoot videos. I'm in a good mood right now, so I'm barely willing to give you $100 for living expenses during the winter break. If you're even a day late, I'll deduct $10 from it. Yes. She's learning from the new viral blogger, the Raising a Daughter on 100 You on a Month series. As soon as my mom finished speaking, I heard a sharp scream, bang, crash, crackle. After a series of noises, the phone screen faced the ceiling, and my mom's ouch, ouch sounds came through the video. It turned out that she had fallen down the luxurious spiral marble staircase in my house while wearing 10-centimeter stiletto heels. Her leg was broken. The doctor said she would need to rest in bed for at least a month. TSK, what bad luck. TSK, this is truly a heaven-sent opportunity for me to start my channel. I immediately gave up the triple pay for New Year's Eve and joined a cheap tour group to go back home. While on the bus, I applied for another account, posted the first live stream announcement. Challenge: taking care of my bedridden mother with a broken leg on $350 a month. Look how filial I am, giving her an extra $50 in the budget. I posted a photo of my mom with her leg broken and bedridden, attracting a wave of her die-hard anti-fans. Everyone was excited and full of anticipation. The fan group I created reached 30 groups in just half an hour. I have witnessed this prosperous era. During this time, there were also uninformed passers-by who cursed at me. Did your mother pass away because you started your account like this? He instantly received numerous likes, and my mom's anti-fans replied below, bro, keep talking. When I rushed home, my mom was lying in bed. Although she couldn't move, her mouth was still as sharp as ever. Humph, didn't you say you could earn triple the salary and wouldn't come back? Now you're back obediently, aren't you? Do you really think you have the ability to make money? Cindy, let me tell you, if it weren't for me raising you on $300 a month all these years, you would have starved to death long ago. For the first time, I didn't argue with her and just kept nodding, saying yes, yes, yes. My mom's expression softened slightly, perhaps because I was being so well-behaved. After ruling out the possibility that I was possessed or something, she even relaxed my winter break task requirements. I was originally going to give you 100, but since you're being so obedient this time and even came back to take care of me, I'll give you an extra 50. However, this money won't be given to you all at once, even if you're not at school. For the sake of your studies and health, you should study until 5 o'clock every day, and then at 6, run to the next street to buy me freshly baked egg tarts. Although there is a place for you to stay at home, you can't live here for free. I'll charge you $100 a day for rent. Mom knows you can't earn money right now, so you can write me an IOU. After you graduate, you can pay me back with 2% interest each month. By the way, the utility bills will also be split equally. She paused. Mom is doing this for your own good, all to cultivate your independent and self-reliant qualities. After finishing a long speech, she cleared her throat and called out toward the door, Wendy, my throat is dry, make me a bowl of bird's nest soup. No response. My mom called out a few more times. I gave a sinister smile. Stop shouting. There's no Wendy anymore. I deliberately drew out the last syllable. My mother looked horrified, especially when she saw me carrying a pile of live streaming equipment. Her shock reached its peak, because this scene is all too familiar to her. From my birth to adulthood, she has been using these live streaming props to document my life. I am the character being scrutinized in her videos. Every move I make in front of the camera is examined by countless unfamiliar eyes, freely judged as right or wrong. Those humiliating, painful, and heart-wrenching sobs, and my mother, always glamorous, stood outside the frame, smiling as she watched my miserable life. She instinctively covered her face, her scream more piercing than any before. Cindy, what are you trying to do? She can't move well now, and in this big house, it's just her and me, she can't escape. After setting up all the equipment, I looked at her with a smile and said, Mom, do you remember what you said when you pointed the live camera at me during my first period, when my pants were soaked with blood, at that time? She said, it's just letting everyone take a look, it's not like you're losing a piece of flesh. When I got my first period, I was so scared I thought I had a terminal illness, but she cheerfully started a live stream. She broadcasted my panic and unease, and my embarrassing blood-stained pants. I opened the live stream. I announced loudly the content of the first filial piety live stream, a light sign, feed my mom a sip of pre-made soup, a little heart. Adds 1 minute to my mom's sleep time tonight, a paper crane, allows 1 extra trip to the bathroom. Cindy, you're insane. Mom's eyes widened, and the sharp cry from her throat sounded like the low growl of a dying beast. She frantically threw the pillows from the bed and the cup beside her at me. In her terrified eyes, I straightened the live stream camera and aimed it directly at her. Mom tried to shrink herself under the covers, but when I mentioned raising her on $350 a month, she suddenly burst out, Cindy, you're crazy. How can anyone live on $350 a month? I pretended to be naive and said, Mom, you raised me for just $300 a month, so all these years, you've been deliberately making me suffer. It wasn't at all like you said, about fostering my independence. My mom would definitely not admit it, even though she had done many cruel things to me over the years. She still managed to convince herself, faced with the criticism and questioning from netizens. She always insisted that she was only trying to foster my independence and prevent me from becoming a spoiled rich kid who only knew how to enjoy life. The first to flood into the live stream were the mommy haters from my 30 group chats. Everyone was delighted to witness this act of retaliation. I smiled and began the live stream, one that belonged only to her and me. Only this time, the roles were reversed, the plot had flipped, and the satisfaction was off the charts. After the live stream started, comments kept popping up one after another, but none of them showed the items I was supposed to display in my live content. Half an hour later, my mom's stomach started rumbling. Cindy, I made sure you were well fed back in the day. What do you mean by acting like this now? You're being unfilial to your mother. At such a young age, you're already so vengeful. I really raised you for nothing. Hurry up and go make me some bird's nest soup. She habitually reached out her hand, wanting to slap me, but I was no longer the little girl who would just stand there and take the beating. I sidestepped to avoid it and quietly turned off the live stream audio. I whispered in her ear, stop struggling. Haven't you figured it out yet? From now on, this home is just you and me. I've taken away all your electronic devices. This home is a cage I've thoughtfully built for you. My mother finally understood her current predicament. She started playing the victim again in front of the live stream camera. I'm old. I don't have many good years left to enjoy. What's wrong with eating well and treating myself better? Does being a mother mean I have to sacrifice myself for my children my whole life, with no life of my own? What a bold and self-aware declaration from a strong female lead. If this person weren't my mother, if she had never relied on exploiting my resources to achieve her own success, then I would applaud her. But at this moment, I can only smile and offer her my blessings. Mom, you will surely live a long life. As the old saying goes, the wicked live 1,000 years. She froze for a moment, and the next second, she was about to cry, in the blink of an eye. I grabbed a tissue and rubbed it all over her face. I leaned in close to her. Mom, you said it yourself. Crying is useless. Strong, independent girls never cry. You need to reflect carefully on why you're the only one not getting any tips. That's what she has always said to me, ever since I was little. Whenever her data was poor or she received few gifts during her live streams, she would make me go live on an empty stomach to reflect, usually. I would also have to perform a talent show alongside it. Until the day's live stream revenue met satisfactory expectations, I could only eat a few boiled vegetables. How about performing a talent? My mom froze. She even tried to move her leg, sing, and when someone gives you a light up sign, I'll feed you. My stomach was growling every few seconds from hunger. The live stream, however, was lively and bustling. I feel like the tides have turned after 30 years. Upstairs, same here. I feel like after attaining enlightenment and becoming a deity, I came back to slap that old bastard who kicked me back in the day. But streamer, if you really don't give her anything to eat, won't she starve to death? That won't do. If she starves, who's going to keep my electronic pet company? At that very moment, the live stream's audience of over 100,000 people simultaneously turned off their light boards. My phone screen was scrolling so fast. I almost thought it was glitching. My mom watched all of this with excitement. She sneered, "I told you, things like live streaming earnings aren't that hard. Since you were little, I've never let you suffer." I chuckled to myself, my mom is too naive. She still hasn't realized just how terrifying hundreds of thousands of light-up signs can be. This means she'll have to drink a lot of pre-made soup. I keep my word. I took 30 yuan out of my 350 yuan living expenses and ordered pre-made soup packets. Chicken soup with old hen, beef soup, pork bone soup. It can be said to be a rich variety. My mother watched me boil water in the live stream. She hesitated several times but held back because of the regular rumbling in her stomach. The chicken soup is ready. Mother drank it all in one go. She rubbed her stomach comfortably, looking satisfied. She drank a second bowl, the third bowl. It continued until the eighth bowl. Just the smell of chicken soup made her nauseous. I won't let her off that easily. Just like the first time she discovered I was allergic to eggs, she peeled an egg while promoting her morally corrupt parenting philosophy to the live stream audience. Allergies. That's just something hospitals and pharmacies made up to scare people. Think about it. Our parents' generation, and even further back. People in ancient times. Have you ever heard of anyone having allergies back then? They must have all died. Of course, my mom stuffed an egg into my mouth. As I was choking and stretching my neck to burp, she stuffed another egg into my mouth. That very night, I was lying in bed with a high fever and a red rash. My mom wouldn't take me to the hospital. She opened the selection sent by her advertiser, a can of surströmming. Thinking of this, I am truly grateful for my tenacious vitality, which allowed me to survive countless game-over moments. I kept feeding her soup, until soup continuously spilled from the corners of her mouth. The family in the live stream room urged me to stop for the sake of the broadcast's continuity. I took their advice, then I sat down and chatted with everyone. My mom was so embarrassed she turned red. "Cindy, quickly help me to the bathroom." I shook my head to refuse. "You haven't even folded a single paper crane. Why go to the bathroom? You're just being lazy, running off to the toilet all day for no reason. Why don't I ever have to go?" I said it smoothly, as if reciting lines. Familiar, isn't it? My dear mother, these are the lines that have accompanied me through 18 years of growth. The comments are still lively. But after all, everyone is not a wicked woman. My mother finally received the first paper crane when her face was turning blue and purple. "Cindy, get me a sanitary pad," she shouted from the bathroom. "I am kind." So I didn't try to block her with the sanitary pad. I quickly handed her the sanitary pads I had specially gone out to buy. A loud roar came from the bathroom. "Cindy, how dare you give me this kind of unverified product? If I get sick, will you take responsibility?" I looked at the 30 yuan pack of sanitary pads that contained 300 pieces and shouted to my mom, "Mom, isn't this the same kind you used to buy for me? You said back then that nowadays sanitary pads are all about brand markup, and the ones that actually focus on quality are these simple, no-frills factories." The first time I got my period, she reluctantly took 30 yuan out of our 300 yuan living expenses and bought me several hundred pads. Every period during my teenage years was so itchy and uncomfortable, until I was shunned by my classmates because of the unpleasant odor. I begged her through tears to take me to the hospital, but she said, "When I was your age, I never had any problems like that." She looked at me with a suspicious gaze. "Are you in a relationship? Who have you been messing around with?" In the bathroom, she fell silent. After a long time, she called me to help her back. That night, because no one had been brushing the little stars, my mother was forced to stay awake until dawn. Then the next day, she unilaterally announced her withdrawal. How could she get her wish? I endured 18 years of torment. So, a new round of light signs, little hearts, and paper cranes began again. My mom gained 5 pounds. Sure enough, I was still too kind. Happy times are always short-lived. A month passed in a flash. During this time, I successfully built my online presence and had already earned enough for my tuition and living expenses for the next 3 years of campus life. I no longer have to worry about money. I can also be like my roommates. After finishing my morning classes, head straight to the cafeteria, and if there are no afternoon classes, sleep like there's no tomorrow in the dorm. I can be an ordinary college student and enjoy the hard-won university life. I can sleep in if I want, eat when I feel like it, and go to the library whenever I please. Instead of serving food in the cafeteria, working shifts at the Youth League Committee office, or organizing shelves in the library, I dragged my suitcase back to school. My mother also regained her freedom after Wendy returned and the cast was removed. She started her old tricks again. My daughter is in college, earning $500 a month in living expenses through clock-ins. Oh my God, the capitalists have a conscience. She broke her leg and suddenly empathized with me, actually giving me a 200 raise in my pathetic pay. But this time, I no longer need to clock in to earn a living, and her 5 million loyal fans, after enjoying a month of the satisfaction of proving my mother wrong, were content and unfollowed her one after another. Her advertisers also terminated their partnerships. They caught the scent and came looking for me, rather than swallowing my anger. A strong female lead like me, who seeks revenge for every grievance, is more in line with modern trends. So, when my mom's followers dropped to around 1 million, and aside from canned yellow peaches, she had no other ads. And no one even clicked into her live streams anymore. She couldn't sit still anymore. While I was live streaming to promote enrollment for the school, she sent a connection request. As soon as I opened it, she was crying and pouring out her heart. Mom said during the live stream that she regretted it. After a month of living on 350 yuan, she deeply understood the hardships I had endured growing up. She expressed her deep remorse for the years of guilt she felt toward me. She said she would make up for it. The barrage of comments was filled with, "I don't believe it," but my mother remained unmoved by the barrage of comments, and at the end of the live stream, she called out to me with deep affection. Tomorrow, she will make up for the video with a live stream across all platforms, and then I will see her determination to make amends. I am actually a bit confused. Tomorrow is my birthday. Am I looking forward to it? That's true, when I was in kindergarten, I would also envy other children's parents. I envied every child who talked about the sweet, fragrant cakes that could sing, "Happy Birthday." From a very young age, I understood that I would never rely on her in this lifetime, yet I still awkwardly hoped that one day she and I could sit down calmly and have a meal together as a family. I'm starting to look forward to tomorrow a little, although for the past 10 plus years, I've never felt this way. I was unusually distracted in class, spaced out during my live stream, and zoned out in the library. My roommates understood without a word, but I waited all day, and my mother never showed up. Her phone was constantly busy. It wasn't until 8 p.m. that she asked me to join the live stream at 11:50 p.m. I was stunned. A virtual birthday celebration, this, that, will do. It's just a bit awkward, after all, in front of so many people. I'm afraid my mom might come up with some emotional quotes, you know, being a teenager. I'm quite concerned about saving face. When I returned to the dorm, there was a 6-inch cream cake placed right in the middle. My roommates had bought it together, and they even put a birthday hat on me. Thus, as soon as the time came, I eagerly opened my phone and started the live video call. The moment the screen lit up, the mother was holding a little girl in her arms, 7 years old, with a sweet smile. Wearing a crystal birthday crown on her head, the mother kissed her and, for the first time in her life, spoke in a cooing voice, "Cindy, this is the daughter I adopted. I named her Claire, which perfectly pairs with your name. Cindy, I know today is your birthday. I searched for a long time at the orphanage before finding a sister who shares the same birthday as you. From today on, Mom will raise her well and give back everything that was owed to you. Does this mean she's even taking my birthday away from me?" Behind her was a grand birthday celebration. She had spent a fortune to book the entire Disneyland. Fireworks bloomed above their heads, illuminating the smiles of that little girl and my mother. I lowered my head, my fingers twisting the hem of my clothes. It's fine, it's okay. I can make money on my own now. I can celebrate my birthday by myself too. Once I buy tickets to Disneyland, I can even share money-saving tips. The barrage was unusually quiet, then suddenly erupted. Oh my God, should I say a curse word or not? Damn idiot. It's really like she came at the wrong time, missing the spring. No, are you planning to keep favoring one child and upsetting us for another 18 years? To the person above, it's not just 18 years. Favoritism is a lifelong thing. My mom really miscalculated this time. In this era where East Asian families dominate, it's common for every household to have a child going through teenage angst. Most villains who lacked love since childhood, Who would enjoy watching you perform mother-daughter affection? It's the kind with too much artificial sweetness. She did not succeed in restarting her career as she had imagined. In contrast, on my side, advertisers are kissing me like crazy. Every random live stream I start has over 100,000 viewers online. Uncles, aunts, brothers, and sisters in the top contributor list keep popping up endlessly. Having grown accustomed to a life of luxury and worried that she might one day go bankrupt, my mother couldn't sit still any longer, so she brought that Claire to see me in the cafeteria. My mother set up a live stream and sat across from me to have a meal. Cindy, Claire has been wanting to see you for a long time. Mom tried to break the ice and dispel the awkwardness. I didn't say a word, just silently ate the 2 dishes and 1 soup in front of me. Cindy, do you even have any manners? Mom came all the way to see you with your sister out of kindness. And this is the attitude you give. My mom was so angry she threw her chopsticks. I came all this way to see you, to have a meal with you, and this is how you treat me. Claire also quietly chimed in from the side. Sister, do you not like me? Sister, why are you ignoring mom? Sister, 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 chirping endlessly, without a break. I yelled, stop making noise. Is there no end to this? If you want a sister so badly, why didn't you persuade my mom to adopt another one from the orphanage back then? Claire burst into tears with a loud wail. My mom was busy comforting her, and her gaze toward me gradually turned cold. Cindy, I wanted you to experience the warmth of a family, but look at you. What kind of attitude is that? Don't you dare bring up that nonsense about lacking love since childhood ever again, Cindy. I'm telling you, you deserve everything that's happened to you. Her voice exploded in my ear. It gradually amplified in my mind. I made a crazy decision that day. Thinking back on it later, it felt pretty damn good. I directly picked up the 2 plates of food in front of me. Fairly, I placed 1 plate on my mom's head and the other on Claire's. Her screaming and stomping echoed throughout the cafeteria. The live broadcast from that day was also recorded. Mom became a ghost animal video uploader. From that day on, we tacitly began a cold war. I no longer had the task of checking in for a 300 yuan living allowance. My mom even changed her live stream name to Claire's Mom, Raising My Daughter Again Edition. She frequently updates every little detail about her and Claire. Claire wore a princess dress for the first time to take photos. One is dressed as Snow White, and the other is clearly dressed as the evil queen. Neither of them has probably ever read a fairy tale book. Illiterates are everywhere. When these photos appeared in her video, the comments section was filled with mockery. Is this right? In my lifetime, I've seen Snow White and the stepmother getting along so well, but the streamer really knows her own role. The wicked stepmother. The first time Claire left for school, my mom waited outside the school all day. The first time Claire washed her feet, she was so happy she sent over a dozen videos. She no longer thought about whether the video would go viral. She no longer considered whether the topic had a viral appeal. Every video she posts seems like an ordinary mother-daughter life. I could watch 800 of them in a day. It feels like a declaration of war against me. I thought this prolonged battle would last a long time. I hadn't figured out a countermeasure when my mother lost both her money and her trust. Who would have thought that Claire was actually a dwarf? She stole all the money from my mother's safe and bank accounts and fled far away. When my mother found out about all this, she only had $300 left to her name. She sold the large villa and moved into the small 100-square-meter home she once despised. So, that year on New Year's Eve, she reluctantly asked me to come home. I replied, busy with New Year's sales, aiming to earn $1 million in red envelopes. Then I sent her a small red envelope, 300, for living expenses. The following year's Mid-Autumn Festival, she asked me if I wanted to eat mooncakes. I replied, a bunch sent by advertisers. In addition to continuing to give her 300 yuan, I also gave her a mooncake gift box. We just kept it like this, contacting each other during holidays and festivals. My mom occasionally does live streams to earn what she needs for a living. It wasn't until I graduated from college, when she came to my graduation ceremony and couldn't find me, that she completely panicked. Over the phone, I could hear the panic in her voice. Cindy, where on earth are you? Mom has been looking for you for so long. Even if Mom was wrong, please come out and see me. The airport announced the final boarding call. Mom's voice suddenly rose sharply. You're at the airport. Are you going abroad? Is it for a brand launch event? She asked the follow-up question cautiously. I glanced at the blue sky and white clouds outside and smiled. No, I'm going to study abroad. I might not come back in the future. Then, Mom, she blurted out before pausing. I smiled. You know, I've never lacked love since I was a child. I've lacked money. Now that I have money, I'll give myself plenty of love in the future. Mom's voice was choked with emotion. Do you really not want me anymore? I didn't answer, and just as I was about to hang up, her voice came through. Mom knows she was wrong. It was the apology I had waited 20 years for, finally. Just as I had completely let go, the ending of this story arrived. How could you sentence me to death without giving me a chance? Cindy, you should give me a chance to make it up to you. I suddenly remembered the first birthday cake I ever tasted during my freshman year of college. I watched as she held her newly recognized daughter in her arms, calling her baby over and over again. That cake was both bitter and salty. I did give it, and then you reminded me once again that I am a poor wretch with no mother to care for me. A bitter smile escaped the corner of my mouth. I won't need it anymore. Are you really not coming back? Mom kept asking. I gave a non-committal. The call ended. I think I'll get a new phone and change my phone number after I go abroad. I probably won't give her my new contact information. From now on, with blue skies and white clouds, I soar high with my own wings, after hearing the two stories above. What are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.